Alright, Wells asked me to give a quick talk on how to pick good stocks, and I'm not sure I can actually give a talk on that, but I can give a talk on how to pick stocks. So, this is just some ideas about ideas. And ideas, at least in our system, are really just that. They're just ideas that you have. But to make money, they need to be the same idea that everyone else is having, you just need to have it before them. An idea that you have that no one else has is of no good. An idea that you have after everyone else has it is no good. So you have to have some information, belief, or an expectation that they don't have yet. So the more you know, the more information you have about a given issue, company, or sector, the more ideas you can have, and the more of them might possibly be right. So there are lots of sources of information that you can use to start in your search for ideas. And the more you want to verify or validate your beliefs about a sector, company, or market, the deeper you will go into this information. So the first is news about the company, comes on a fairly rapid basis. Analyst coverage about the company, updates on more like a weekly basis, and financial reports, usually quarterly. And news about the company will give you cursory information. It will also signal things that should already be priced in the market. By the time a news story hits, it's already in the market. Analyst coverage, when it changes, may provide insight that has not yet made it all the way to the market. And financial reports are things that are already known by the market, but if you read them closely enough, may indicate things that aren't known yet. So, many sites aggregate news on individual companies, and since we've got Reuters, we might as well look at Reuters. Reuters gives you a page for stocks that's kind of like the Google page for stocks, except it's got slightly more sophisticated news selection. So if you look at, say for example, the Reuters news page for Nippon Steel, you'll see that pretty much every one of these news articles is extremely relevant to Nippon Steel. So you can go and look and say, they're going to upgrade some mills, they're going to spend money on a new coke oven, they are going to, auto demand has increased, and but ore costs have increased. And then down below, Vail and BHP Billiton will price ore to Japanese steelmakers quarterly. What does that mean? I don't know. Dig into the news story, you'll find out. And then you'll find out who gets mentioned. So in these news stories, you'll soon learn the details of the event, which may or may not be expected to recur, the context of the event for the stock. Why is it good? Why is it bad? What happened? Who are its competitors? Are they affected by this event? Who are its suppliers? Are they affected by this event? Who are its customers? Are they affected by this event? Supposedly affected or supposedly knowledgeable individuals will be asked for quotes in the story. Why were they asked? What did they do? Did they have any information you might be able to access? The more you know about the event that has already happened, the more you'll be able to guess about events that haven't happened, or events that haven't been reported. Since the events can affect more than one company, but only big companies have lots of coverage, frequently what you can do is look at, say for example, the news for Nippon Steel, and know that lots of other Japanese steelmakers are going to have to renegotiate their ore contracts soon. So that means people like Vail and BHP Billiton, who were mentioned in the news story, are going to receive a lot more money for their ore prices because demand is up, and they're also renegotiating the prices more frequently. But Japanese steelmakers are going to suffer because their profit margins are going to be hurt. We already know that Bao Steel, Chinese, and Nippon Steel are renegotiating those contracts. What other companies are going to have to do that soon? Those are good ideas. Reading more news stories about Nippon Steel, you'll learn about more of the companies that compete with it. They may be affected next. So, if you want to get ideas, news sources are really good sources for ideas, just not the event that the news was reporting. Then there's analyst coverage. So most companies have expected earnings published by analysts, and if we go to Reuters, you'll be able to see financials. So this is financial data for the company, and then the analyst estimates for those financials. So there are recommendations, which are pretty much useful to ignore, and then estimates of earnings and sales, and also historical trends of divisions, wherever it's gone. Okay, they don't have the trends for this company. But for a lot of companies, they will have trends of how many analysts came in over, how many analysts came in under, how large the surprises are in any given quarter. And from that information, you can see whether or not a company has good analyst coverage. If the analysts are constantly surprised, then there's a lot of information out there that they're not picking up. If the analysts are constantly on with their estimates, most of the information about the company is already known. Knowing which companies are thinly covered is a good way to find companies for which information is rich and good ideas may be abundant. And then financial reports. So these are, I don't want to say the best way, but they're an extremely good way to know exactly what the company thinks about the environment it's in, who it's competing with, who it's supplying, what is likely to happen, what they don't want the regulators to look too closely into, because that will be buried very deeply in their financial tables. And you can get a feel for this, say for example going to, so the SEC has an electronic filing system called EDGAR, which you can go to and get filing reports for any publicly traded company in the US. Other countries have other systems, but none I've found have been as accessible as EDGAR. So you can get all of their reports for free online, and say for example this one. This is the Form 10K annual report for ExxonMobil. And if you wanted to know about the oil business, you could read risk factors from their company report. What are the things that they think could materially affect their stock price or their value as a company? And you can just go down the list, and there's lots of things that you can research, lots of things that you can read news about, and lots of things that would tell you ideas to look for other companies of the same type. If ExxonMobil has thought of it and another company hasn't, then when an event occurs, ExxonMobil might be taken less off guard than some other company, some other smaller petroleum extraction company, or some other smaller refining company that you can then look for by sector. So that is a way to get ideas.